Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The disciples had forgotten to bring bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. Jesus enjoined them, "Watch out, guard against the leaven of the Pharisees and the leaven of Herod." They concluded among themselves that it was because they had no bread. When he became aware of this, he said to them, "Why do you conclude that it is because you have no bread? Do you not understand or comprehend? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes? Do you have eyes and not see, ears and not hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000, how many wicker baskets full of fragments you picked up?" They answered him, 12. "When I broke 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many full baskets of fragments did you pick up?" They answered him, 7. He said to them, "Do you still not understand?" The Gospel of the Lord. I have an interesting and provocative question for you. Do you understand what we just read? Was it confusing to you? Does it seem a little bit strange? The point here is the skepticism and the lack of faith in the Pharisees and the Herodians. They don't believe in Jesus. In truth, the disease that's caught them is skepticism. And so they want to construct a belief system and a faith that has nothing to do with even their own religion, and it has nothing to do with Christianity. It's a faith that's constructed on the skepticism of God against God and the desire to become gods ourselves and open the doors to what we believe is true, but not true at all. We are deceived. And this skepticism is like yeast, Jesus is pointing out. A yeast that can inflame and expand a lump of dough. In the same way, such an expanse can take place in a culture of skepticism and rebellion. And we see it quite vividly. If we're not a people who operates under the faith of God, the whole society begins to crumble, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes. The disbelief and skepticism is turning our country and our culture into a cesspool. Just for example, if our country would start abiding by the 10 Commandments as a model of harmonious civic and religious culture, things would really change. A good example of this on the microcosmic scale, just for example, how many of you remember Father Rick? Father Rick is the chaplain at Holy Family Academy. He made a decision to start being available as their chaplain, and especially being available to hearing the confessions of the students. And when he first started, not so many students came, but in the last couple of years, many students are going to see him for the sacrament of reconciliation. And the faculty, praise you, Jesus, is happy that on school time, the children can go to confession and speak with Father Rick. I have understood since then that the whole culture of the school has changed for the better. Now there's still, you still have your problems with young people. That's there. However, it is a different culture there now, and I've seen it over the last couple of years evolve and develop. Even if you are a person without faith, to follow you would maybe want to throw aside the first 3 commandments. They're all about God, so you don't want to be about that. However, the next 7 commandments are extremely good points by which you could run a culture and a society. Not stealing, not messing with marriage and betrayal in marriage, overuse of sexuality and misuse of sexuality in adultery in all its forms, and coveting, the desire to take something away from somebody or to want to take it away. These are just little examples. And so the Pharisees are this leaven. They're the kings of skepticism, and they're zealous to tell Jesus that he is not welcomed. Welcome to America. However, he has a group of disciples who don't often understand, but they are sticking with him. They're following him because they are hungry, and the kernel of faith that's inside of them, like us, I hope, is drawing them into following Jesus and trying to have a relationship with him. The yeast is coming to fruition in a positive way. It's not expanding dough that will be corrupt and destructive. It's expanding a heart of faith, a soul filled with the gifts and the power of the Holy Spirit. And all this is sustained, especially in the one loaf. There's only one loaf in the boat. That's not a coincidence. St. Mark is using an image of that one loaf to make everyone see clearly, if you have the eyes to see, that the one loaf in the boat is Jesus. And Jesus is telling the disciples, did you see what I did with the 5,000? Did you see what I did with the 4,000? He's assuring them that the bounty of the sustenance that they need is going to come to them through the one loaf, him, in his surrender on the cross, in the pouring out of his precious blood, in the offering of his flesh for the life of the world. Oh yes, and the beauty of all this, sacramentally, this is all revealed to us in the Mass. And it's given to us in the gift of the Holy Eucharist, where the flesh and blood of Christ nurtures us and feeds us, because it is the only bread that will truly satisfy, and it is the only remedy. And for those who have no faith, let me quote St. Thomas Aquinas, if you don't mind. To one without faith, no explanation is possible. To one who has faith, no explanation is necessary. But on the other hand, when you look at the contribution of what people of faith make for a culture, it seems like we've been very, very much in error about a path we have chosen to follow that does not include faith in Jesus Christ, who is the Son of the Father Most High, and it gives us the power of the Holy Spirit to live the truths of faith.
Regina Caeli, laetare, alleluia. Sim